So how to get your positive care home stories on the BBC and ITV News. I'm going to be 20 minutes. So it's I'm about 5 minutes late because of my glitch. But anyway, we're going to be 20 minutes. Be brief. I will be brief, and so be ready. And please, as we go, questions in Q&A, and I'll happily answer them at the end. Okay, great. Who am I? I'm Adam. I help care homes get more inquiries via PR marketing to increase occupancy faster. I work with dozens of care providers on their PR strategies, and I myself am a former journalist. So, kind of in my heart, I feel that I'm really a journalist. But happily run Springup PR right now, and we only work in the care sector. So let's get going. Why pitch care home stories to the regional BBC and ITV even in the first place? Well, you want to get noticed and impress your prospective families and stakeholders. Now, this is what care home providers tell me. Let me know if that matches or why you would be wanting to get regional TV coverage to showcase your positive care home stories, of course. And often care home owners and marketers tell me it's the TV coverage is part of their community marketing PR strategy for their care homes, ultimately to build your reputation and ultimately to help you get more inquiries. So, BBC, ITV TV coverage is often regarded as like a premium hit for care homes. So that puts everything into context. And what's the coverage we are talking about here? Well, here's just some examples. Let me know in Q&A or chat, wherever it is, how often you're getting coverage on the TV for your care homes and how you do it, and any tips that you would like to hand over. That would be great. But look where my cursor is. This here was a housekeeper for a care home. So again, it's always great to see your teams and your staff being interviewed and talked about on the BBC and ITV regional television. Here is another story where my cursor is, and I'm going to go actually through on this webinar the actual news releases that got this particular coverage. Again, where my cursor is a nice a drumming class. And by the way, this is very, very important. TV journalists actually love uplifting care home stories. So that's really in your favor. And you really can be looking to try and get TV coverage for any single care home, maybe twice a year. Obviously not going to do it every month, but if you're having your targets twice a year, then you are in a good place. And remember, the TV coverage is just part of your overall marketing PR strategy, particularly if you have a PR strategy where you're getting ongoing press coverage. That's press coverage I would suggest every 2 months for any single care home. The TV is part of that coverage. I wanted to go back to why TV journalists love uplifting care home stories, because A, it's uplifting, and B, and I'll come into this, care homes and journalists do like positive care home stories as well, because you have high public interest and healthcare interest. You are looking after our nation's elderly, are you not? So that has a high public interest as well, which BBC, ITV and regional journalists is important to them. Now, when you are pitching to TV journalists, I've kind of want to give you 5 what I call big helps. So one big help in that story that you are pitching is it has a strong human interest. And this again actually goes for any stories that you are pitching. So that's a story that's focusing on achievements for a resident, a story of a resident, a particular team member, perhaps something your manager is doing, perhaps if it's dementia related, it has a particular focus on maybe how the interventionist helps one particular resident. I'm going to come into this a little bit more, but human interest is key when you are pitching to BBC and ITV regional journalists. And as I mentioned as well, as I said a few moments ago, to have a strong public interest, which you always do as a care home, which is why TV journalists love care homes, that has a massive help when you are pitching these stories. It really should encourage you to be pitching your good news stories from your care homes. And also, what you need to think about is that those stories that you are pitching, how they look on camera. That's what those journalists are thinking about. How will this story work on camera? And again, that's to your favor, because just going back here is that care homes do look good on camera. You have a number of people, you have people who are experts, and you have activities, and you essentially have a lot of people, and that's good for when you are pitching your stories to the TV and BBC journalists. Now, a real big help, and this goes to any story you're pitching, is have in your mind what's the head story. Have in your mind what the headline is, what the headline story is you're pitching, because that will make a difference. And here's some examples. Just a few words here. Soldier visits care home to bring back. These are all real live ones. Soldiers visit care home to bring back precious memories for Ian living with dementia. So again, I can just you tell me in a few words, I can automatically see the story. Tick. Same here again. Former gymnast Marion is still teaching Kit Fit at 100, and she actually is a resident at a care home. So again, tick. I can see what the story here, and the journalist can see it fast. Why? Because you're presenting them with that headline. Devoted couple together forever thanks to Rochester Care Home. Again, this idea of, a care home is helping a couple stay together when they both need care. Tick. We've got a good story here. I can see it immediately just by you presenting that headline. Ponies trigger memories for care home residents. Again, this is kind of reminiscence therapy, and this is obviously an intervention of the small ponies. You're probably familiar with them that kind of go into care homes. But again, immediately I can see as a journalist, if you're pitching that story, there is a story that they can get their hands on. So I like to give you these examples because it gives you a sense of how important that headline is. And succinctly when you are pitching these stories. Again, that goes to all your PR stories you are pitching, and you probably know this. A lot of you are marketing people. But again, it's really, really important to emphasize it. Now, this is also important, a big help. Write the whole story for the journalist you're pitching to. TV. Remember, the story you're pitching is also going to go to the newspapers and radio and also online as well. So write that whole story up for them so they can see that story immediately. I call it write the story on a plate. And I'm going to give you real life examples in a moment. A lot of care homes say to me, we're a bit worried that the message that we want, the story that we're going to be pitching will be taken in different ways. Well, if you write the whole story on a plate for them, you have essentially you're giving your best chances to have complete control of the message and the story. Again, any questions, please roll them all up in chat or Q&A. Now, I want to give you real life examples. So this is a real news release, and I just want to go through it. Watch where my cursor is, because what we've got here, and there's the coverage. This has got TV coverage. You can see where my cursor is, bottom right, bottom left, however you're looking at on the screen. Immediately, we've got a really cracking headline. Queen and the Proclaimers prove big hits in care home drumming sessions. And let's just dissect it all a little bit. So we've got, again, imagine the TV journalists. They've already got, in my mind, they've got these drum fit sessions. So immediately they're thinking, this is going to look good on camera. And also, we have a human interest here. I do drum fit to exercise my arms and my shoulders. Said 94-year-old Scott. And so immediately we've got a human interest. And if we go further down, we've got here the whole idea of drum fit. It's not only to keep fit, but it's music therapy too. So again, remember what I was saying at the top, you've got human interest. You've got, it's going to get on camera. You've got a public interest, a healthcare interest, the fact that it's music therapy. And then you've just got this drum fit as part of a wider program. Look at my cursors. I'm sorry if it's a bit small, but drum fit is part of a wider program of movement run by the home. So it's part of a bigger a bigger picture of events and activities that are going on at the care home. So you've got more than just doing a drum fit session. It's part of a bigger collection of events. And again, you've got here a real interest in conveying what the story is. Look where my cursor is. Keeping arms strong and joints mobile, which is so important for overall health and independence. So again, you've got a really nice headline. You've got human interest by the fact that you've got residents who, again, this I'll come to this in a moment, who is talked about in this particular pitch for a story. And you've got the whole idea that there's a healthcare interest as well. And you've got everything in a wider picture here about how the drum fit is just part of a number of interventions to make that will be good for people's the residents' health. Another one, and again, I showed you the coverage at the very top, if you recall. No, here it is. I just where my cursor is up here. This went everywhere. This story. But again, if you've got a really nice headline, former gymnast Marion is still teaching keep fit at 100, and she's a resident teaching other residents at the home. So it's a cracking story. It's strong human interest at where my cursor is, and this pitch goes all through the story of Marion. She's been a gymnast at where my cursor is from the age of 18. She's traveled the country competing, and later on, the home manager, look where my cursor is, talks about how Marion is showing off her moves and inspiring the other residents to participate. So immediately, if you're seeing this as a TV journalist, you've just got these images coming. We've got this 100-year-old who is teaching other residents keep fit classes. She herself has got this real high caliber background as a teacher of keep fit. And also, again, look where my cursor is. You've got the bigger picture. You've got the fact that regular physical activity helps older people to maintain healthy weight, etc., reduces their risk of falls, etc. So again, you've got that strong public health interest. That's the journalist. I repeat, if you have that little bit of gravitas in these nice human interest stories that you're pitching that work good on camera, then this just increases your chances of those TV journalists going, yeah, that looks great. Let's get in contact with this home. So I hope that helps. Any questions, as far away as I mentioned, Q&A or chat. Again, I just finally, again, a very, very strong headline. These are all news releases that all got TV coverage about a young volunteer here. Look where my cursor is. Inspires Sybil return to playing the piano after an almost 80-year break. So this is celebrating, you see the name of the volunteer. She's a volunteer. And Elia, and she's helped this resident called Sybil return to the piano after literally an 80-year break. So again, it's just combines all those elements I'm talking about. Human interest. There is personal intervention of a volunteer helping a resident refine their passion. So again, you've just got this like personalized care element. You as care teams looking after our nation's elderly. So again, all these boxes tick and looking great on camera. Yeah, you can see it here. An 18-year-old, Elia is 18, helping this resident who's I think she is here. She's 90. Again, look where my cursor is. Again, you can see it, can't you? The 18-year-old with the 90-year-old at the care home, and the volunteer helping Sybil recover her interest in the piano. So just looking at the time, we're doing pretty well. So another big help is help that TV journalist. So as I mentioned, make sure that story basics, you probably do this already, is in the body of an email. It's not some attachments. But also, this is very, very important. When you are pitching to those TV journalists, you want to help them by making it clear who that journalist can speak to. So by the way, say the journalist called Jane. Hi, Jane. Here's a story for you. Hope you're interested. By the way, we've got the residents lined up to speak to, and also the home manager who's ready to speak to you. So again, the journalist is thinking, great, well, this care home's got people lined up for me to speak to. When can we get this all booked in? So immediately you're helping them uh, bring that story to life. Now we're going to move into the pitching. Remember, we've got this great story. Well, what about pitching to the TV journalists? Number one, as I always recommend, and again, this is not just the TV and journalists, but make sure you have that headline in the email subject line so it stands out immediately. And also, when you're following up, you can say, Hi. Hi Jane, it's Adam here. I'm calling about the story about the ponies triggering memories for care home residents. Ring a bell? So again, you've got that immediate headline that you can entice and remind journalists about. Now, very, very important, distribute that story to named TV journalists. So you need to know exactly who they are. So it's very, very specific. You're not going to avoid, as best as you can, sending pictures to news at bbc.co.uk, for example. So find out who those journalists are, and you can find out who they are by phoning. Find out who they are by phoning the ITV, regional ITV, and the BBC regional TV departments. Also, you can find journalists and their contact details on their social media channels. Here we go. Here's two. Look where my cursor is to the right. Poppy Jeffrey, as she's on Twitter. And look, she even gives you her own email address. And then again, look where my cursor is to the left. BBC Southeast. They are giving you a number to call and also a direct email address. So Twitter actually is a very, very good place to find out the names of journalists, TV journalists that cover your area. Another little secret for you is try and get through to what's called the planning department or the news editor. So these are the people who will plan what's going to go be featured in the news, the BBC or ITV regional news over the next week or the next 2 weeks or the next fortnight. And again, these are very, very important. So here we go. I've given you an example. Michelle Mayman, found her on Twitter. She's the editor of BBC Northwest Tonight. And again, you'll be able to juice her email address. BBC and ITV email addresses are usually very simple. Something like this one would be michelle.mayman@bbc.co.uk. So again, they are very, very contactable. Now, again, a recommendation for all good stories that you're pitching, follow up to the death. Get a yes, a no, or a maybe for those journalists. And you can do follow up in a fun way. But it's very, very important because when you send that story, 9 times out of 10, you won't hear anything. But you want to make sure it's not gone to their junk folder. You might make sure that they've actually received it. You want to make sure that it's gone to the right journalist because they might be on holiday. You can make this follow-up fun. By the way, there are ways and means you can do it, and the follow-up is a great thing actually, and my team do it a lot. So if you've got any questions on it, let me know and I'll answer it at the end. We'll probably be about 5 minutes over. I'm just checking it at the time now because we started about 5 minutes late. So media training, should you do it or not for TV journalists? Look, the reality is the BBC and ITV journalists, and this happens the whole time. I see it the whole time. They want to make you look good. So, these are good news stories that you're pitching. They're not, this isn't crisis comms, so to speak. This is good news stories, and they want to help you look good. So if there's any glitches, if let's say your care home manager, suddenly has a mind block, which they don't, then they can edit that all out. Personally, when we do this, I say we give our managers, let's say, who are going to be on TV, or let's say a resident's family, we might just talk to them and say these are the kind of questions you might get. But 9 times out of 10, you won't need media training because 9.9 times out of 10, the journalist will just have a conversation with you. They'll help you look good. And again, 9.9 times out of 10, your care home manager, for example, will speak very, very well because they know what they're talking about. And remember, as I said, care homes look great on camera, and the journalists will do that for you. It's what they do, they know how to do it. And also, this is very important. TV journalists, they understand consent. So, yes, you want to make sure if your residents are featured, the consent has been given, but journalists will help you and understand that if that person hasn't got consent, or if you're worried about that person being in the shot, yeah, let's say when they come with their cameras, they will work with you on that. They do this the whole time about working with consent. So they really, really will help you with that. Finally, some big picture stuff. You want to make these journalists your friend because I promise you, they'll come back to you. Yeah, if they've done, if they've enjoyed and come into your home, enjoy doing making a nice story, they now know you a contact for them, so they may well come back to you and asking, if you've got. I've seen it happen, asking if you've got any stories that are coming out of your home right now, and there will be a point of contact for them. And they may well be coming back to you, wanting to see whether you want to be featured in any particular story they're running. And you can decide whether you want to or not. But it's just such a great contact to have. And I've seen it happen many, many times that BBC and ITV journalists, if they've been to a home, they may well get in contact with you again to find out whether you would like to be featured. So great contact to have. Now, also remember that this is really top end PR coverage for your home, premium coverage. So, yeah, you're going to get the coverage, and that's great. And hopefully, your prospective families, stakeholders will see the story on the news. But also, make sure that you send your commissioners and your healthcare professionals and other stakeholders, a part of your generic promotion, links to that TV coverage that your home has got. Again, because you just want to really make sure that everyone is seeing it. So that's something I would really, really recommend. So I hope that's helped. It's just been 25 minutes. So thank you very, very much. I hope that is of interest to you. I'm just seeing if there's any questions. Okay, yeah, James, hello. He's just saying, just want to say Marion and Downhall just down the road from me. I never see any marketing for care homes locally apart from this one in Bradwell, which is a tiny little village. Well, there you go. So that's very, very interesting. Thanks for sharing that, James. And yeah, I mean, they are getting press coverage, as James mentioned, including occasional television, like every 2 months. Bang, bang. All these stories, the kind of stories that I've shown to you here today. Danielle, my colleague, she works with them, and they are gorgeous care home actually, and they really promote themselves. So thank you for sharing that. Let me have a look. Are there any more questions? Yeah, I have one here. Oh, just about the media training from Joanne. So yeah, just a bit more on that. So as I mentioned, I think that, as I mentioned, 9.9 times out of 10, the TV journalists want to make you look good. It's in their interest to make you look good. And the people that you put up for interview, which might probably your manager, might be your activities person, could well be a resident. And another point here is the residents, times out of 10, love all of this. I mean, this is a great event to have the TV journalists coming to your home. So again, it's a very positive experience for everyone involved, including residents, your teams, and the residents and that your team will love to see themselves on TV. It's just a positive experience all round, a celebration of all the wonderful things that you do. Again, it's pretty much as top premium a coverage for your home that you can get. There's a positive story on your regional BBC and ITV news. And much more achievable, of course, than national positive national news coverage. So that's a great question. I hope that helps. And just very, very finally, from me, as I mentioned, if you're wondering if this worked for you, please just apply for a 30-minute PR strategy Zoom call with myself. Don't worry. We're just here to help you. There'll be no pitching, I promise. I'm just here to help you if this is an area you want to concentrate a little bit more on. But if you are interested in that, please just email PR to hello@springup-pr.com. Also, that mobile, but please just do it now. And so it's front of mind. Just another question in chat. Natalie's asking, will you be sending the presentation, please? Eventually, yes, it will take a little bit of time, maybe 2, 3 weeks, but just to get it all through. And Lacey says, thanks for the tips. Good. Well, I hope it was of use to you. And have a great rest of your day. And thank you for joining. There were a lot of care home marketing people here. And I hope it was useful to you. Thank you.